Hello everybody, my name is Spencer Smith. This is my son Sam, and we're here to talk to you today about warm season interseedings into cool season perennial pastures and what we're about to try to do with the Healthy Soils grant that we were awarded through CDFA in 2019. Wherever you are, there's a cool season and a warm season. Most of folks have that really good spring flush, and then during the heat of the summertime, your cool season grasses really shut down. They call that the summertime slump. Because cooler temperatures will kind of reinvigorate those cool season grasses, and you can get a bit of a growth curve in that early fall or through the fall, depending on where you're at. Having access to this research opportunity, we're going to see what we can do and what grows, and then from then on out we'll be able to pick our summertime mixes that will increase overall forage production, really jumpstart that soil health. We could be looking at 3 to 5 more tons of dry matter per acre, which is going to equate to a lot of carrying capacity and take me into winter really strong. The desired outcome or the vision for this project is to test the viability of warm season interseeding into these cool season perennial pastures in this particular area. It's not currently done amongst the ranchers in this county and in this region, but we want to test and see what potential there is. And then if it works, boy, I would love to continue to do it every summer and continue to maximize the amount of feed that we can grow off this property and minimize the cost to do so. So I developed a warm season mix to interseed into these pastures with an agronomist from Nebraska called Dale Strickler, and he's with Green Cover Seed Company. He was really great to work with, and he really came up with some out-of-the-box ideas to plant into these fields to try and increase summertime production and see what's going to actually grow in this environment. Some of the things that we're going to plant is grazing corn, popcorn, okra, guar, millet, sorghum Sudan grass, pumpkins, grazing pumpkins. We're putting in more chicory and plantain, salad burnet, and there's also some buckwheat in there. So what I'm going to do is we'll graze this down pretty severely with the intent not to overgraze it, but to take it down short enough to where we stop that root growth and really kind of shock that plant for a short period of time. And then I'll come over it with my no-till drill and we'll interseed right into this perennial sod so that we can get these warm season grasses and forbs to establish. So then once it has a chance to weave through that sod and get some of those nutrients in that water, then it'll kind of nurse that cool season crop up underneath. We're putting in a tremendous amount of variety, and I'm optimistic that some of it's going to take. I'm really interested to see how it establishes and which of these forages our cattle prefer, how good the quality lasts into the winter, and then find out, is it going to produce the types of yields that we're going to need to cover the costs of that effort. And I think that if we can start to increase the diversity, we're going to start to see benefits for pollinators, we'll start to see benefits for soil biology and worms and such, and start to really help increase the water cycle and mineralization in these pastures, which is something that I'm extremely excited about. We're taking some risks by doing this, right? I mean, it is typically when I graze these pastures, I move through this better ground and I'm doing the take half, leave half through the midsummer, trying to make sure that soil stays cool, stays shaded, but I'm taking enough of this biomass off to where I have, a good 45 to 60 days recovery period before I come back to this pasture, later on in the fall. I do that because I want to keep that soil covered and protected so that we don't lose a lot of moisture just from direct sunlight hitting that ground and up in the temperature, right? So this time I'm taking it right down to the quick and I'm going to expose a lot of that. So the loss of evaporation out of these pastures is going to be significantly worse. So what's going to happen if we go to the effort of sowing all these seeds? We're talking about, probably 10 to 12 days worth of tractor time getting everything shot into the ground, plus the cost of the seeds. What happens if it doesn't work? Well, obviously that's a sunk cost, and it's an aw shucks moment. Maybe better learn from that, right? But what I'm really concerned about is, what if I take these pastures down to the quick? Sure, I get them wet and I try and get something going, but I don't get that biomass to truly grow. If I lose a couple of weeks or up to a month of active growth time in the summer because I took these plants too short, I really risk all that enough biomass to get me into the fall. I'd like to be able to continue to graze, as close to the first of the year as possible without having to bust any hay open. And if we've got adequate biomass, we can graze them in the snow and get away with it all right. But if I take this too short and it doesn't come back due to that, and my summer crop doesn't come, well, I'm going to be, at the mercy of the hay market this fall, which, hay's expensive this year. So I'm hoping it works.